I was thinking my fear kicked in. And so right here, it's like the fear and my thoughts is like all of a sudden I'm going, okay, how my fear and my thoughts, and I didn't share it. Yes, fear is a feeling. I didn't share this fear and my thoughts that went along with my fear to you. But I'm going, oh my goodness, how I already have a budget in my mind. And how my mind works, I can do numbers. It's weird. If you're of age, if you're younger, you might not know this movie, but Rain Man, I was like Dustin Hoffman. I can just do numbers in my head. Hello, Shannon.
Hello, Chico.
Guess what?
What?
I'm not wearing glasses today.
I know, because we looked at the recording and you had reflections and all kinds of things going on.
Yeah, so I'm a
that's
little
okay.
I can see you across the table, but looking at the computer it's a little fuzzy. I didn't realize being 56 how my eyes have just gotten bad.
You know what? You're a little fuzzy right now too. I think it's just the link right now, the streaming. I don't know the words. See, we don't know. We're just old. We're trying to do this ourselves. We're getting back into it. I think it's getting better, and it'll get better and better. And I'm confessing my vanity, because I have now, this is the second episode that I've done with my hair up because we went for a walk, and I don't love the way my hair looks when it's up. Or whatever. I mean, I've got no
your
makeup
head.
on.
I love you.
I do have a filter on my
Yes.
camera, but most people don't watch it, and I don't really care.
Maybe
I
they
mean,
do
I'm
watch it.
not a supermodel, and it's okay. I'm a real person, and I want to get our message out enough to not worry about being camera ready, whatever that means.
Well, and that's why, like right here, I put it on, and you see.
Well, now you're clear, but you weren't when you were saying looked fuzzy. You were fuzzy on mine.
No, I'm saying I'm fuzzy, but all of a sudden I put this on, and you see the reflection in my eyes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now I feel like my eyes are small because I've gotten used to the eyes.
Yeah. And if you're watching and you see Chico's eyes dart over and mine dart over, it's because there's a mirror and I can see what he sees, but a gigantic boat just went by the bay.
Yes.
And I saw you looking over at that, it's a beautiful thing.
It is a beautiful thing. But
So,
today,
yes.
I'm excited. I'm excited for this episode.
You said you weren't going to say excited when we started this again.
I know, but I'm excited because I'm going, man, I'm going to be vulnerable. I'm going to step into it. The last episode, we talked about thoughts and how we have 60,000 thoughts and how our thoughts get consumed. But today we're going to talk about thoughts and feelings and how I had all these feelings come up with my thoughts. But today, that's the reason I'm excited.
When we first came, okay, so, we've recorded a few episodes and, but we haven't officially launched them yet, which is great. But the first one, we're talking about feelings. We were talking about feelings and the 7 feelings and all that kind of stuff. And then this last one, we were talking about thoughts and but now we can kind of talk about how thoughts and feelings go together, how they're different or whatever. You're going to use an example, a real life example. So that's where you're going to be vulnerable.
I'm going to be vulnerable, but
because you're used to just counseling and coaching people through their examples of that's just a thought. That's just a feeling. I can't make you feel anything. I can't give you thoughts. Those are thoughts and feelings, but you're now going to.
Well, I don't know if I say it that way. I mean, you don't really sit in sessions with me.
I don't, but I don't, but I'm just making. What do you say then?
Yes. I do say some of those things, but I don't say it that cavalier.
No, I know. I was just trying to sum it up before you start to look at me going, I don't really get what you're saying, or why are you saying that? I'm trying to give people some background. You say I use too many words, and I think you use too few words. Okay.
I think that's fair. I think that's fair. But today I am going to start to open up and be vulnerable. Okay. And when I am stepping into that vulnerability, I want you to ask questions to unpack what happened, because actually this vulnerability has to do with you and I, and has to do with actually sitting in this room on Friday
And thoughts and feelings.
and thoughts and feelings and what was happening.
Okay.
So let me,
You want to frame it up?
I'm going to paint the picture. I'm going to frame it up. I'm going to bring it home. Okay. So right now, if our parents listen, they're going to find out what's going on. We haven't shared. That's another thought and feeling right there. I just thought about this. But
They're not going to listen.
I know they're not going to listen. But what's happening is we are actually, we've hired an architect. We're building a house, and so we meet.
Well, can I give just a couple more details?
Yes, I like your details.
So first of all, we as empty nesters, have been looking at, long-term investment and retirement plans and, things like that, planning for the future. And we have made some, and I won't give those details, but we've made some interesting financial decisions in our 30 years of marriage. And some not so great, but we have been thoughtful. We are thoughtful about our investments, and we really think through them. And so we decided to invest in a lot. It's in near Austin. And we aren't able to build until at least spring next year.
Yes.
It's not like we've like, for anyone listening, including our family, it's not like a quick decision of,
But actually,
we bought a lot and we're building a house and whatever, but we're in the process.
This kind of fits both of you and I's personality. It's like, hey, we bought this lot, but I love that it's a process and we're not doing it right away. And so
Yes.
we bought this lot, but they haven't even put the roads or the infrastructure in yet. And we did it in this community that has golf and has other things, and it's on Lake Travis, and we're really excited about that. We love the Austin area.
The process needs to be slow for us because we've never done anything like this. We have never built. We have never. We've moved twice.
Yes.
Essentially, and so in 30 years. Yeah.
And so the other thing is, what I like about this slow process, I think just this example, when I start to get vulnerable, is we need a slow process, because I don't think you and I would do well in, hey, we got this lot, we need to start building, blah, blah, blah. It would create a lot of conflict.
And so in this example, you being vulnerable also will come from some insecurities on both of our parts. Like, our thought process can be very insecure when it comes to this, because this is not our wheelhouse. We don't really know what we're in for. We don't know what the next meeting is going to be. We don't know what the next steps are because we've never done it. And we're just kind of like, it's a lack of control. It feels very, out of control.
Powerless.
It's powerless. It's a lot of trust going into people that we've just met, literally, and trust with our future. Like, it's been a big decision. I don't want to make it sound like it's, because there are lots of people that have built. I mean, we know home builders that have built and lived in 15 plus homes.
Yes.
Over their marriages.
It's their wheelhouse. It's not our wheelhouse. And
so that's why I'm just
Yeah.
pointing out the vulnerability, is that there's just a lot more going into it when we're talking about what we're thinking. Anyway,
And so it's a lot of newness. And
Yes.
and this newness, has brought up some insecurities, some doubt, all sorts of things. And so we've hired this architect who we really like. Drew's a good man. He's come up, he's taken our vision, and he was presenting, kind of the layout of this house.
Just a floor plan. I mean, it's like so, basic,
Yes. And we are excited. That's why I'm also excited about about this because I'm excited about this this process, this project. You know, it we're not going to be in this house until 2027 or later. And so there's all this going on. We have a scheduled meeting weekly with him and one of his teammates uh, to just go over, and on the schedule that he sent us via this Zoom meetings, it says 1 hour. And so me, how I'm wired, and being ADD, if it says an hour, I do an hour. I don't really go over. Having private practice and 10 therapists working for me in the past, and having treatment centers, I was always I was always really good at training people. No, if you start, on the hour, you need to end on the hour. And I
Yes,
said,
and I appreciate that so much because that's how I like to that's my leadership style if I have one for any boards that I've been on and or volunteer positions or things like that. I I mean even you and I agree on even churches we go to. We, like for the
and some of it's my AA
presidents
background.
of the boards or
Yeah.
you and I were owners of the company. We need everybody, including ourselves, to respect time, and that's a big deal. It's a
And so to paint
thing.
and
Yeah,
so to
for
paint
you.
this
Yeah.
picture, the week before our
And then I also just want to throw in real quick. I know that this tortures you sometimes, but another little detail is in these meetings, we are given assignments also. And since we are
I was gonna get to
learners,
that.
oh, you were?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't. I thought you
And
were skipping
so
over that. Okay, go ahead.
So in these meetings we had where, Drew, our architect, who we really like, gave us some assignments. You've been really doing the assignments, picking out, hey, design on the floor plan and in the kitchen, the living room, all the different colors and
Well,
stuff
it's
like that.
see, you don't even know the specific assignments, but they're very specific. It's like layout, kitchen layout, like
Yes. And so you've been given, we've talked about it. You've been putting the
yeah, yeah,
pictures
yeah.
in, and I've seen some of that, but you've done the big work. I just wanted to see the big picture. You've done the more detailed work. And so the week before we didn't have the meeting, he was going to show us, he kind of gave us a real quick sketch of the layout, but this time it was to really go over the layout more of, where the bedrooms were, the kitchen, the dining room, the living room, the extra bedrooms that I have an
Well, and
office.
the reason I pointed it out too is because what Drew was really looking for also was he needs to know before he continues on with like you and I both want to get to like the 3D images, like the real, like the picture and whatever. But in order for him to get there and it not have to be redone, he needs to know where we want like the refrigerator
Or the
and
walls
or the
or
walls
stuff like that.
and
Yes.
so
So, so he's doing that before we get the big 3D image.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so I'm thinking
But I could
this was
sense
like Friday.
go ahead, yeah.
This was like Friday, we were having this, and then you and I had another Zoom meeting, and right in between these 2 Zoom meetings, I had a client, but the client canceled.
But I didn't know you had a client.
Yes.
To my, what I was thinking, I was
Well, let's get
thinking,
there,
okay,
okay? Let's
sorry.
get there, that's all
I
right.
yeah, I'm
I'm
letting you set
gonna
it
be
up.
vulnerable, and so we went over the whole floor plan, and we talked to him about, hey, we don't need this space. And he cut out about 100 and 30 square feet, 160 square feet, which was cool. That he was going, okay, I see where y'all are coming from. We didn't want to, the details don't matter,
Right.
but there was a few things that he helped squeeze down some square footage.
Yeah.
And so I was liking that. We're talking about
But
everything.
tell everybody what you were thinking before the meeting when because he did send us a preliminary. What were you thinking? You were thinking,
I was thinking my fear kicked in. And so right here, it's like the fear and my thoughts is like all of a sudden I'm going, okay, how my fear and my thoughts, and I didn't share it. Yes, fear is a feeling. I didn't share these this fear and my thoughts that went along with my fear to you. But I'm going, oh my goodness, how, I already have a budget in my mind. And how my mind works, I can do numbers. It's weird. You know, if you're of age, if you're younger, you might not know this movie, but Rain Man, I was like, Dustin Hoffman, I can just do numbers in my head, and it's strange, and people have made reference to that. But so I have all this fear going on. I'm fearful. Oh no, uh, it's bigger than I thought. It's going to cost more. We have a budget. I've shared the budget with you, but I didn't tell you that, hey, all of a sudden I'm doing the numbers in my head and it's getting bigger.
And we don't even know because we don't know what we don't know, and we don't know anything about this process.
Yes, but
So we don't know. Yeah.
yeah. And so, but here's the deal. It's like, so we're sitting there, the hour's coming up. We've completed that, but we haven't gone over all the work that you have sent to the Dropbox.
Right.
And so we haven't, all the different pictures and the arches and the colors and what you like
And
for
it's not really, see, you're even missing it a little bit. And I know this doesn't really
it
matter, but
doesn't
it's
really
not
matter.
colors.
It's
That's not what we were
yeah,
going over. But
I
you
know.
were okay.
And but you hadn't, to sum it up, we hadn't gone over all the work that you had put into it,
Right. It was
and
layout, but
the
yeah.
layout and the
And he
plan,
needed that to move
yes,
on. But anyway,
for the 3D. And so
yes.
he's sitting there and he starts to bring up that stuff, and it's getting to the end of the hour, and my fear, my anxiety starts to come up, and I go, wait a minute, we're done at 9. It's almost 9 o'clock. I don't have a client. I can go a little bit longer, but then we have a 10 o'clock coming up. I've already mapped out in my head, hey, I can be focused for an hour. I needed that little lag time. I was glad my client, had uh, canceled.
Canceled.
And so then I'm sitting there thinking about our 10 o'clock
But
and our
again, I didn't even know you had a 9 o'clock to cancel.
yes, but I was glad about that.
I didn't know you had a 9 o'clock scheduled. I
Yeah.
didn't know the 9 o'clock. I didn't know that the 9 o'clock was even in existence. So I'm just sitting
But
on
you
this
didn't
meeting.
also didn't you didn't
I
know
knew there
that
was a 10.
you didn't know that I had this fear going on
I
about the
didn't.
square footage. You didn't
No.
know that my thoughts are going, okay, how are we going to do this? And how I was future tripping and projecting all over the place. And
Yeah.
and what I'm doing is we're right in here, and I start getting up and getting antsy. And
Well, you left the room.
I left the room.
But I was okay with that because I was just showing him
Well, yeah,
what
you
I had
were okay
done.
with it for the first, I was okay with it too for the first 10 minutes. I thought we were going to wrap up. And then all of a sudden it became 15. And then all of a sudden it became 20. And what I did is I became passive aggressive. And I walk in here and I go, I thought our meeting was over at 9. And I say it off the screen from Andrew. Yeah, and
Yes.
but
But he
I
could hear
said it
it.
loud enough for him to hear it, and
Yes.
I heard his anxiety, and I go, and then I come across real passive aggressive towards you. I'm just concerned that you're not going to be present for this next. I I became a turd ball, a jerk. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of things you could say, and I was. And the other thing is, I can get real pouty McPow pants, but it's real kind of passive aggressive.
Yeah. Was rude
It
to
was
everybody
it was
involved. I
rude
mean, it
to
was
everybody,
rude.
and I didn't share my feelings, and I was fearful, and I was embarrassed, and I was feeling like, "Oh my goodness, Shannon doesn't see that we have this other meeting that, these people are helping us in a different place." And I'm thinking about that, and then you end up ending, the conversation with Drew ends, and we're gonna meet with them again, actually tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
It is
and
tomorrow.
so you hang up and you share your feelings with me
And my
and your
thoughts.
thoughts. And what were your feelings and
Okay.
thoughts?
So, well, my thoughts were, oh no, Chico is not going to let me gracefully end this call. It is not going to end gracefully.
So when I was acting out and being passive aggressive and being, rude and a
Yes.
jerk,
And so I'm
You thought
thinking
you thought
my thoughts were how am I going to still get the messages to the architect that I want to, because it was my assignment, and I knew he needed it so that the next meeting can be more productive. And
but
so
were your thoughts going, "Oh, no, he's gonna really be inappropriate and come across."
yes, I mean I was sitting there thinking how my thoughts were, how do I gracefully get off this meeting without him walking over and physically shutting the computer? Like, so,
So you had these thoughts that I was gonna
and
come up and
but
just
and
kinda slap
here's
the
the thing that
computer
people
down.
need to know about us. We live life out loud. That was what we said in our intro. Our when we started this podcast was we are two people living life out loud or aloud or whatever, out loud, to help others. We've always been that way. Like we we certainly communicate and fight in private, but we kind of have had no problem fighting in public either, or having conflict
Yes.
in public. And I think it's kept us from really fighting in our marriage. I mean, I don't think we've really fought, but
But we have conflict out loud.
we have conflict out loud. And so, but that makes people very uncomfortable. And I get that. I mean, our very good friends, couple friend, calls us the Bickersons because they're like, y'all can just bicker, out loud and whatever. But so my thoughts were, this isn't going to cause divorce. This isn't going to cause a
So you didn't
non-speaking
have those
fight.
thoughts,
This is
but you had
Chico's
thoughts.
not a violent man. He's not
But
generally
he
a
can be a jerk, and he's
jerk.
being a rude and
He's being rude. He's in his head. He's ADD in all over the place. He's
but
checking out.
let me ask you this. Did you have thoughts like, "Oh, no, I'm gonna hang this up," and all this anxiety and these feelings that you were having on top of those thoughts, you're gonna just break down and cry and go, "Man, my
Well,
husband."
yes, I was no, I was really worried about you like just shutting the computer. And then what I was really worried about was we had a 10 o'clock meeting and we're trying to work together.
Yes.
We've always worked together. And then upon selling the treatment center, we kind of took a detour to do sort of some of our own things. And then we've come back together. I mean, we had a client, we were doing some marital counseling, and we had a client say, "Do y'all fight after you meet with us?" Because we might appear to have conflict when I'm saying, this is how the wife might be feeling. And this is how, when we're talking about thoughts and feelings and everything, we're sharing our thoughts and feelings and being vulnerable so that people can see it. And then they think that the information we're fighting after, and we're like, no, we're not fighting about y'all.
But our 10 o'clock was really
But our 10
about
o'clock was
coaching
for
us.
us.
It was
Yes.
coaching us.
Yes. And I know that. So I'm sitting here on a Zoom having to hold it together and concentrate and but my thoughts were all like, okay, how can I keep him from just slamming shut the computer or whatever? He's
Or
gonna be a jerk.
pouting or
He's gonna be a jerk. I'll be able to tell him he's being a jerk when I get off of this meeting. And then, but I was already building resentment in my head about the next meeting that we had. I was like, how is he going to expect me to be present and be excited about something, doing something together when we can't even do this together? Like,
yeah. And so all of a sudden you had
my
those
thoughts,
thoughts. My thoughts
thoughts
are
are
she's not going to be present for the next meeting. I'm fearful that she's not going to take it as serious as I want to take it as
right.
serious. She can only, and I mean, these were thoughts that you had not given me any evidence to point to that. You know, I knew you were very present with Drew and Ariel, and you were presenting everything in a very strategic manner, and where my thoughts were is she's not going to be that strategic. She's going to be dismissive of this next meeting with Gina, and you're not going to be
Which
present
was
with that. And
crazy
there was
because
no
I was
evidence of that at
no,
all. But
no,
those were my thoughts that were leading to fear,
right.
that were just
So,
fueling that fear. And then all of a sudden, I was also feeling loneliness, like this disconnection that
well,
wasn't true.
I was going to say so, and let's talk about your feelings in a second. But I was going to get to so we both talked about our thoughts. Like these were all your thoughts. This was my thoughts, and this is I have no idea how the architects absorbed it. It'd be interesting. It'd be a little social experiment to be like, okay, so how'd y'all absorb that? But we won't have time to get into that. But and it's not our purpose and to worry about their thoughts. And that's codependent to worry about their thoughts or whatever and try to autocorrect. The old me, codependent, super codependent me, would have already emailed them apologizing
For me, for
for
my
you.
behavior
Yes.
that you are not responsible
Yes,
for.
exactly. Okay, so
And so you
those
might
were
have
all
had
my
those
thoughts.
thoughts
Those were all
about
my
that.
thoughts, but my feelings were shame. Shame and certainly loneliness too. Like, oh my gosh, we're about to embark on this project for our life together without kids under the roof, and he's not into it.
And he's poo-pooing it, and
Yeah.
he's
So
becoming passive
shame and
aggressive. And
lonely and then
gosh.
anger. Yeah. I
Yes.
was angry. I was
Yes.
super angry. Yeah. So, which, by the way, for women and for me in particular, I've always considered it's like when we talked about feelings, feeling like all the feelings are negative. I mean, women aren't allowed to be angry and especially angry out loud. And we consider it a negative emotion or that we're, you know, angry women and it's a thing for women and especially even like the
Well,
culturally the African American women have been like especially I don't have that obviously but I people they have been accused of anger is such a negative thing and it's so
but
wrong it's so
here's the
wrong
crazy
to
thing is, like,
put that on
to
people.
pause for a second about that anger is like, yes, as a woman, it's not all right to be angry. But my behavior, I was coming across angry. I was fearful. I was angry. Things weren't happening my way. I had
Right.
all these thoughts going on, but my anger, it
But you're sort of allowed to do that.
yes, and that was in
You
that.
get to be, like, unhinged.
Yes. And so it
I
and
mean
here's the deal. It's like I was fearful, I was angry, I was lonely. You were having shame, anger, and loneliness.
yeah, but I couldn't e and so when we can't express those feelings, like, we're talking about you need to attack the feelings, you need to have the feelings, and you need to identify them and investigate them and all that stuff. It's so hard to even like, I don't feel allowed in normal circumstances. I'm getting better at expressing anger as an allowed feeling for
So
me.
we end this Zoom with Drew and Ariel, and we sit there and you come out and you start talking. Well, at first you go, I need a little time. You took some time for yourself. And
Yeah.
you wanted to share your experience of me in that meeting. I wanted to share my experience.
Yes.
And so I wanted to share my experience first, but I had paused. I had paused and there's nothing wrong with being angry. Be angry yet do not sin.
Yeah.
And what does that mean? And what does that look like? But we had about 25 minutes before we were getting on this next Zoom. And so
And
that
it was kind of good that we had the next Zoom for me because it was the catalyst to me saying to you, if you want this to go well, because I've given you zero evidence that it wouldn't go well and that I'm I'm totally into it and I wanna do this. It was
But
a
my
good
thoughts were taking over,
catalyst.
and I was
Yeah.
doing what we talked in our last, podcast about the having the negative thoughts and they were being repetitive
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
stuff like that. But I had to first attack the feelings. And so I attacked that fear, that anger, that shame, that loneliness, inside me. And we had some conflict sitting in this room before the next Zoom.
Well, yes, but and I think I took the time to investigate and identify the anger. And so it ended up being okay. The anger ended up fueling me to get to the solution, to get to what I really wanted to communicate instead of when we shovel that anger and we don't identify it, we don't admit it, we don't acknowledge it, and we don't investigate it, if I said that, then normally what I would do and what I think a lot of other women would do would they would scream and yell, slam doors, shut down,
Well,
not communicate.
name call. Name call is a big one.
Yeah.
And we throw names. Oh, you're always this way, or you're such a what, blah, blah, blah. Fill in the blank.
Well, but we also don't acknowledge it for ourselves too, and instead just keep it on the outside, like slamming the doors and everything else, but it keeps it inside, and then that's the whole body keeps the score, and it causes more poison. It's like drinking the poison ourselves and expecting the other person to die, whatever
Yes.
that analogy is, but that all comes from thoughts, and then you have the feelings, but you have to know the different like, I think he's a jerk. Okay, well, how is that gonna help me? Like, what's the solution to that? The solution is identifying the feeling behind, I think, the thought, right?
Yeah. And so for me to identify, to attack the feelings is like, man, I'm fearful about things that haven't even happened. It's not even 10 o'clock. It's 9:15. Okay, the meeting's going over. It's 9:25. The meeting's going over. All these thoughts are going on in this little 10-minute deal. Is like Shannon's not going to be present. We're not going to get the coaching we need. She's going to still be thinking about, the architect and the plans for this house. And she's not. And so all of a sudden, all these thoughts are going on and they're being fueled by the feelings. And so I have to attack the feelings. I have to step back, and it's like, man, what are you doing, Chico?
Yeah.
What's going on? What are you
But
fearful about?
how do you normally when you don't attack the feelings and ask yourself those questions and take a pause, what do you do?
What I do is, all right, and I don't know,
You would maybe just shut the computer.
I might have shut the
Very
computer.
severe.
I might have gone and emailed Gina, "Hey, we can't meet today." I might have sabotaged it all the way. I might not have shared with you and just expected and built a case and created. I would have self sabotaged. I could have created where the next meeting, I probably would have done the next meeting, but I would have been passive aggressive in that next meeting.
Yeah, you were prepping to be passive aggressive.
And so it's like I sat out there and I go, what is going on? She can be present. I started to attack the things that I coach people with, I counsel people on attacking the feelings. I'm going, I gotta attack my feelings. These feelings aren't truth. They're just feelings. Yes, I have fear. Yes, I have anger. Yes, I have shame. Yes, there's some loneliness. I need to step back and hear what Shannon has to say. What is her what is her experience of me? I need to see the mirror put up in my place. And I shared about, hey, my mind was set on 1 hour. And once that hour's over, I it's hard for me to continue.
Right.
And you understood that. You also shared, no, I've done all this work. I've done this prepping. You didn't need to be present for it. I'm not keeping you out of it, because I did have some of those thoughts as well. And so we had this moment to where it wasn't all roses and wonderful. No, we had some
No,
conflict right
I
there.
don't I don't think anybody's picking up on that it was all
No,
roses.
but
It was
we
awkward.
we stepped into the messy middle and we
Yes.
shared, and you held space for me, I held space for you.
Yeah.
We got curious, and I understood that, no, you had done this work, you wanted to get this out. It didn't mean that you weren't gonna be present for the next,
Right.
Zoom with Gina.
Right.
It just meant that, man, I was able to share those things. I was able to hear you and
But
what it was like for you to be present with me
yes.
when I was being rude.
But both of us, and I'm not codependently rescuing you,
Okay.
but both of us had to identify the feelings. I mean, there's, and you use the word attack, and I get that. I know what that means. I like that. I like identify better. Attack just sounds like, yeah, aggressive to me. So I like to come to from a place of just identifying, and then it's nice to have you. I'm going to give you a compliment
Well, thank you.
that has done enough work that can listen to me and hear what I'm saying. I think that takes a lot of practice too, and especially for men, because women will just compromise to appease and keep the peace. Um, like, even though that situation was so awkward and uncomfortable, I'm sure for the architects too, I'm sure they're like, wow, what just happened? But what they don't know is that we know how to move through that conflict together. And I think that, yeah, both parties have to be willing to do that. And you're willing to do that.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that compliment. And the crazy thing is, when we met with Gina, we started talking to her, and she goes, "No, this is good stuff. I like that." And we talked about just stepping
People want
into
to
that.
probably hear about it on a podcast, not on a meeting.
Yes. Something that they can turn on or turn off, and
Yeah.
that they're not responsible for.
Right. They're not like getting anxious about,
Oh,
oh,
wow,
did I
this
do
is
something wrong?
uncomfortable.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I better stick to the hour. He kept saying, yeah, I gave a little, I had a little too much on the agenda. He was apologizing, and I was like, you don't have to apologize.
Yes.
This is his problem. It's not yours. Anyway.
But that happens, and that's how come when we have our thoughts, we're also gonna have these feelings. And
Right.
so I like how you say identify them. I'm also saying attack them. I needed to attack them in the sense, in, yes, we gotta identify, but when I say attack, what I'm really talking about is, man, I gotta attack them and recognize that a lot of those feelings aren't truth. You're not gonna you were very present for the next one. That you can turn off, the architect thing, and be present for this next meeting. Your mind isn't still stuck over there.
Right. And
Yep.
I do think that it's learning those skills to step into the messy middle. You call it the messy middle, but I'm kind of thinking it's like the sweet spot.
I
Um
believe it's totally the sweet spot, but people avoid it because there is this
it's
uncomfortableness.
it's it's messy getting there.
Yes. But it's like, it's where life really takes
Because
on
people
new
don't,
meaning.
when they hear, get into the messy middle, they would avoid that. But you have to go through the messy middle to get to the sweet spot.
Yes.
And so I think encouraging people to go ahead and enter into the messy middle so they can get to the sweet spot. And the sweet spot is when you can say, like, if you're in a counseling session, and a couple were to bring up this scenario, like, we were in a meeting with the architects and he was such a jerk and he just walked away and he left the meeting and then he's like off camera, like, you know, make it, if you were to tell the story and then you were to look at the wife and say, well, how did that make you feel? And she would say, I feel like he's a jerk. What would you say?
I would say, well, that's not a feeling, that's a thought.
Okay.
I go, what's the feeling behind it? Is it fear? Is it pain? Is it
And then
anger?
what do you see coming from clients?
Is they really wrestle with identifying.
Uncomfortable. There's a wrestle.
There's a wrestle. There's the uncomfortableness. There's this like, wait a minute, I don't know actually what I'm feeling.
And can there be even some like anger towards you?
Oh,
like,
yes.
You don't, why am I paying you? And you're telling me that's not how I feel.
Yeah, because
you're telling me that's not a feeling. You're telling me that's not a feeling, but I'm feeling like he's a jerk.
Okay, he might be a jerk, but what does a jerk feel like? What is that feeling behind?
What is it like when you're counseling someone to get them to that? So you're pulling them through the messy middle.
Yes, and that's why I went back and it's like we do name calling because that's a name calling. He's a jerk. Yeah. And so it's like, how do we get them to go, okay, what am I actually feeling that makes me believe that he's a jerk?
I feel like he doesn't understand me.
Okay, what's the actual feeling that he doesn't understand? I feel like
he doesn't understand the work I put into it.
Okay, I understand that. There's truth to that, and that's probably correct. But how do you know he doesn't understand you?
Okay, because I feel like you don't understand me.
What do you mean I don't understand you? I'm just asking you what's the feeling.
But you don't understand what I'm saying because I feel like he doesn't understand me when he is leaving the room in the meeting. You see what I'm saying? Okay, you see where we're going with this?
And that's where
it gets
tracking. I'm tracking with you.
So
he leaves the room. That means he doesn't.
The messy middle.
He leaves the room. That means he doesn't understand you.
But,
could he actually be having feelings? Do you know what he's actually feeling? Or is it more just about you?
He's feeling like I'm a dumbass and that I.
Did he say that? Did he say that?
I mean, he thinks that I'm. He thinks that I don't respect people's time, and that I am not.
Did he say that?
No.
Okay, so you're assuming. What does assuming do? Oh, it makes an ass out of you and me.
Yeah, well. Okay, so I'm just trying to give a little.
I am too, and I like that. And that's
role play of where you get. But
what we did was different. What we did, yes, I was being a jerk. Yes, my feelings were coming out sideways. Yes,
we could have done it like that. We could have done it like that.
Yes, it could have easily happened like that. But what we did is after you got off the phone, and I was rude to Drew and Ariel. I will admit that, and I will take ownership of that.
I know.
Tomorrow. Okay. But the cool thing is we held space for each other and we listened and we heard each other. And we did not say you shouldn't feel that way.
But we took a minute to find the sweet spot.
Yes. And we stepped into that uncomfortable.
Feels so much better. Feels whatever a feeling is. Feels so much better when you can identify or attack the feelings and then share that.
Oh, yes. And I would say that feeling
it takes the thoughts away.
I think that feeling, to sum it up, it's joy.
Yes.
It's joy, not this sense of happiness. It was uncomfortable. But it was joy that all of a sudden, okay, Shannon understood where I'm coming from. You're saying that you believe and heard that I understood where you were coming from. We had this connecting moment. It wasn't comfortable. Last Friday morning when I was walking outside and then coming back in and making little side comments and you're fearful and having these thoughts that I'm going to just shut the computer and be a total.
Which would be so weird. Like,
yes.
Really.
But my thoughts were so weird. My thoughts, and those thoughts weren't true. They were just thoughts. My thoughts, oh, she's not going to be present. She's going to hold this against me because and I'm feeling justified. But we sat there and we stepped into that messy middle and got that sweet spot. And it wasn't all kumbaya and blah, 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 but
No, it's
it
just
worked.
conflict resolution, though. It's like, I know that I have a peace and a comfort. I feel peace and joy and comfort. Is comfort a feeling?
And we'll call it a
Comfortable is a
feeling right
feeling.
now.
Cozy. I feel
Cozy.
cozy.
You
Cozy,
felt seen and heard.
knowing. No, no, no. Is that a feeling? I don't think that's a feeling.
Okay.
I think that's a thought, being seen and heard. But hold on, let me finish
Yes.
this. I feel very comfortable and cozy and peaceful and joyful that it won't happen tomorrow in our next meeting. I know it won't
It
happen.
won't happen.
I trust that it won't happen. Now, had we not gotten to the sweet spot, had we not gone through the messy middle and gotten to the sweet spot, I would be so anxious about the meeting tomorrow.
Wow. So our thoughts can get so focused on the future and not even living in the present. And so when we stepped into breaking down those thoughts and the feelings in the present, what happened last Friday morning, we
I
are
haven't even
able.
thought another thing about our meeting. In fact, when you said, "Oh,
Oh, is
it's
it
tomorrow," I'm
tomorrow?
like, now I'm excited about it
Yes.
because except for the awkward getting on and them being
I
like,
will take
"Everything
ownership.
okay?
I will take
Everybody
ownership.
okay
I
over
will
there?"
take ownership
I will
about
just meet for 1 hour. They're gonna have a timer,
that.
like a sand,
Deal.
timer thing. Anyway, but I haven't even thought about it, but I would previously, had we not stepped into that, I would have been harboring that anxiety.
Yeah. And so today, that's how come I want to thank you for letting me just process how my feelings and thoughts consumed me, and they came out sideways towards you, also in a passive aggressive way towards Drew and Ariel, and that wasn't appropriate.
Not
But
personal, it was just they happened to be on the screen.
yes. And so it just it was thank you for letting me go. Man, I was rude. I was a jerk. I was pouty McPow pants. My fear, my shame, my anger, my loneliness with all these different thoughts just for a little bit there consumed me. But then the cool part is we worked through it quickly. It wasn't days later. It was literally minutes later.
Yeah.
You needed about 5 minutes, and then we processed it.
Yeah.
And we heard each other. And
We
you
were a little bit
shared,
on a time clock because we did have a
yes,
Zoom.
but you did share you were angry with me, and I
Yes.
heard you. I think that's the compliment you gave me, is that I listened. I didn't get defensive,
Yeah.
and it made complete sense that you were angry. You had every right to be angry. And it was cool. And I love that you stepped into the anger. And so thank you for today's podcast of us, y'all, of just, man, unpacking that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And we'll give you an update
Yes.
next time.
For sure. So
But
good stuff. Thank you.